The Book of Proverbs in 10 seconds. Wisdom means seeking that which is wise and rejecting that which is foolish. Okay, but what's wisdom? To be wise is to turn aside from folly, but to be foolish is to reject wisdom. Yeah, but what's wisdom? The wise man seeks after wisdom, while the fool takes the path of folly. Yeah, but what's wisdom? Wisdom is the way of the wise, and folly. The Book of Proverbs in 3 minutes. Wisdom! The Book of Proverbs is 31 chapters of wisdom, and having just bought a $70 lapel mic that's incompatible with my phone, I'm well placed to talk about wisdom. But the Book of Proverbs is more than just 31 chapters of guidance from people who died 3,000 years ago. Sometimes it's really funny, but it's a dark, dry kind of funny. Proverbs 27:14 is basically this. Proverbs 26:27 is literally this. And then there's Proverbs 26:13.
Yeah, hey boss, I can't make it into work today. Why? Lions?
Proverbs is a strange kind of a book to read. In some ways, it's a lot like a lawn. If you look at like an individual blade of grass, it mightn't be all that amazing, but if you get a whole lot of them together, it makes something much more impressive. I mean, look at chapter 17 in the book of Proverbs. You've got darkly funny good sense. Even fools are thought wise if they keep silent. And slightly depressing observations. To have a fool for a child brings grief. And ideas that are blindingly obvious, yet which 3,000 years later, people still get wrong. Punishing people for being honest is not right. So reading a chapter of Proverbs is like a stream of advice from 3 different people. One is cynical and kind of hilarious, one is idealistic and hopeful, and the third one keeps telling you to get a haircut and a real job. I said before that reading Proverbs is a bit like a grass lawn, but also, probably a better way of putting it is, it's a bit like a jigsaw puzzle. No wait, this is a good one. Proverbs is like a jigsaw puzzle because the individual bits mightn't always look like much by themselves, but together they make a bigger picture. And also, some of those bits are like the corner bits, the bits that anchor all the others and that make the whole thing make sense. So while the book of Proverbs is very definite that it's good to be good and wise to be wise and nice to be nice, it also has this really cool trick where 31 straight chapters of how to understand things open with the words, "Don't trust your own understanding, trust God instead." But there's one more very clever thing this book does. Something really amazing and something that's only become more important over the last 3,000 years.
I really should have opened with that line.
When we hear the word wisdom, we might picture, I don't know, some grey-haired sage meditating on top of a distant mountaintop somewhere. Wisdom sounds like a good idea, but not necessarily something you're going to be using in day-to-day life. But Proverbs chapter 1 verse 20 says that wisdom shouts in the marketplace. Wisdom in the book of Proverbs is as much about being a good friend as it is about the meaning of life. Wisdom is about what you do with your money, your words, your inner thoughts, your faith, your ambitions, your spare time. In the book of Proverbs, wisdom is for the everyday. Nothing is too big or too small for consideration with the wisdom that God has given us.
Also in Proverbs, you will note that wisdom is always female.